Hello everyone, this is Rochelle Rosenberg again. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you. All right, so I want to greet each and every one of you. Um, a happy new year to all the Jewish community. Hello everybody. Right. So I'm so much glad to greet you. Chag Sameach or Happy New Year to all the Jewish community, and even to those who are celebrating Rosh Hashana. It's the feast of trumpet, and we only have few readings today, only one chapter, and it is all about Sarah. All right, and I hope that you will be hanging around with us. Så jag vill gärna säga till våra svenska kommunitet, Chag Sameach till våra messianska grupper eller till judarna som firar sin nyår den här helgen som kommer. All right. You can please share the stream if you'd like to, and it will be a wonderful blessing if you do. Let me just fix this. All right, I think this would be wonderful. Right, so we're just gonna continue now with the reading. I hope that each and every one of you had a wonderful week past. So we're just gonna have to give you this weekly reading, and our topic that's supposed to be read on Rosh Hashana is only one chapter, and that is in Genesis chapter 21 and chapter 22. All right, you can read this by yourself because this chapter reminds of the journey of Sarah and Abraham, and as well to remind you about Rosh Hashana is actually the birthday of the world. It's the day of creation. It's actually wonderful that we should recognize the birthday of the earth. All right, so now we're just gonna start. Heads up. Rosh Hashana is Genesis 21 1 to 34 and Genesis 22 1 to 24. God remembers Sarah and gives her and Abraham a son, who is named Isaac or Isaac, meaning will laugh. Abraham is 100 years old and Sarah 90. Isaac is circumcised at the age of 8 days. Right. So if you know the story, you are following with me. Hagar and Ishmael are banished from Abraham's home and wander in the desert. Okay, so he wandered in the desert. God hears the cry of the dying lad and saves his life by showing his mother a well. The Philistine king Abimelech makes a treaty with Abraham at Beer Sheba. All right. God commands Abraham to sacrifice his son on Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So Isaac is bound and placed on the altar, and Abraham raises the knife to slaughter his son. A voice from heaven calls to stop him, saying it was a test. A ram caught in the undergrowth or in the bushes by its horns is offered in Isaac's place. So Rosh Hashana in its depth is exactly a year after the three angels visited Abraham and Sarah and delivered God's promise that a son shall be born to them, as related in Genesis 18. God remembered Sarah as he had said, and God did to Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken to him. The boy is named Yitzhak, meaning will laugh, because as Sarah declared, God has made laughter for me, so that all that hear will laugh with me. So it's excellent with that name, Isaac. So on this day, you will remember all that was forgotten. You will open the book of memory, it will read itself, and everyone's signature is in it, and all mankind will pass before you like sheep, like a shepherd inspecting his flock, making his sheep pass under his staff, so shall you run by. Count, calculate, and consider the soul of all the living. You will apportion the fixed needs of all your creatures and inscribe their verdict. On Rosh Hashana it will be inscribed, and on Yom Kippur it will be sealed. How many shall pass on and how many shall be born? Who will live and who will die? Who will die at his predestined time and who before his time? Who by water and who by fire, who by sword, who by beast, who by famine, who by thirst, who by storm, who by plague, who by strangulation and who by stoning, who will rest and who will wander, who will live in harmony and who will be harried, who will enjoy tranquility and who will suffer, who will be impoverished and who will be enriched, who will be degraded and who will be exalted. So this is the commentary of our sages, right? So it's very important to remember this day, and it's very important to understand the birthday of this year and to remember the miracles that God had done in the life of Sarah. Now let's get on to the portion. Let's go to the first reading. So today is Rosh Hashana, this month of Tishrei in Hebrew. It is September 18 to 20. It's called Head of the Year mostly, or Feast of Trumpet. It's very well known. So on the first reading, we're gonna get on to that. And the Lord remembered Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had spoken. So what did Sarah receive from God? What kind of promise? What kind of things does God had to remember for Sarah? In Genesis 18, we know that God had promised her that she will bore a son, and it will be the promised seed of Abraham. And God did to him, God did to Sarah as he had promised and as he had remembered. So she was remembered because of that. And Sarah conceived in her old age. So this is as well for us to remember that there are no limitations when it comes to God's miracles. There is no limitations, and we cannot find any other reasons if we want miracles to happen in our lives. It also means that Sarah, despite that she laughed, it means she doubted. Even though she doubted, she still believed it will happen. And she still listened. Now let's go on to the second reading. Every circumstances is a proof of joy, or it is a testimony of joy. So remember all the things that happened in your life before. And remember all the complaints that you have done. Have you ever suffered from things that you think was worth in remembering today? Have you experienced many things that you think was worth to be learning from, to be sharing to others? You know that every circumstances or every struggle that we go through are a nutrition of our growth. They are the nutrition of how we develop as a person. Why do I say that it is the proof of joy? Those circumstances become the proof of joy because without them, it will not bring you to where you are today. It will not bring joy into your heart. It will not give you a thankful and a grateful heart to become who you are today, to become where you are standing right now. So, imagine you have met those difficult people before. And imagine now, looking back at those times, you can say that those people you met before had taught you many things. Number one, because they are difficult, so you learn how to understand them and you learn how to react on them. And not only that, you also have to consider that once you were also a difficult person for others. So every circumstances is a proof of joy. It can become a problem at those moments, but you know. So in this verse it says that Sarah said, God has made a joy for me. Whoever hears will rejoice over me. Right? And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, for I have borne a son to his old age? It's impossible to give up birth of a child and you are old. It's impossible to receive miracles if you don't believe. And there are many things that we think were impossible to happen. But look what we are experiencing today. We are experiencing mostly the unbelievable things we never thought could happen in our lives. Right? So those are proof of joy. Those are the circumstances that happens in our life and gives us the strength today. Be not displeased in difficult circumstances. Let your wife give you right advice. So this reading is a reading for the husband. So if you are a husband and it's not easy for you to estimate the balance or the decision that you do in life, sometimes you have to listen to your wife. There are good advices and there are bad advices. But if we just look on the lifestyle of Abraham and Sarah, they had a good teamwork, right? Sarah knows that she was the one who planned that Abraham would have a child with Hagar. She planned it first. Remember that God had promised her she will give birth to a son. But what she did is contrary in the first place. She planned her plan. She said to Abraham, since God had said, I will bear a son, maybe I will bear a child through Hagar. So go to her. And that was her plan B, because God has the plan A, but Sarah has another plan. And now, since she gave birth to Isaac, she said to Abraham to send away Hagar and her son, because she recognizes that Isaac will be the one who will inherit what God had promised, and that Ishmael will not get anything. But that is not true, because God had made Ishmael as well a big generation. He also made him another a huge people. But what this means is that Isaac was the one chosen, and he is the first seed of Abraham that is chosen by God. And it's important to remember that there are many things in married life that you have to be decided both. And if it's difficult for you to decide on certain things, you have to ask your wife, and the wife should ask the husband. And there are godly decisions that a wife can actually decide. If it is for the benefit of a good future, then you should listen to her. But if it is for the benefit of bad result, then you shouldn't. You know that if God is in your life, He will bless you and everything that you will work with your hands. Number 4, God hears our weeping and deep calls. In this reading, we can find that Hagar was sent away. So she was hopeless because there's no more water. They are hungry, and she let her sons be sitting far from her because she don't want to see him die. And her hopelessness actually made a way that God hears. God sees that she was weeping, and God heard the boy was crying. The boy was crying, says here, and there were deep calls. There were deep calls. She raised her voice. As you can see here, if you want help from God, you don't need to be silent. You have to call. You can cry. You can raise your voice and call upon him. You know that, imagine Hagar is an Egyptian woman. So in this case, God does not choose the ethnicity of where you're coming from. If you are seeking after God, he will listen to you. He will take care of you because he cares for you. And he will listen to all your cries, and he will hear your calls. Only if you seek after him. But if you don't seek after him, you will not find the peace in your heart. You know that the spiritual things can be hidden from you if you don't find it, if you don't seek for it, if you don't have any lust for it. And that's the difference of Hagar, because in her hopelessness, even though she know deep in her heart that it was hurting for her to know that her son is dying of hunger, she do not want to see her child die, but she raised her voice and wept. Right? She raised her voice and wept. That is the strong sentence in there. It means that she called so deeply from her heart, and she cried so deeply that she almost prayed, I think. If I would interpret this, I think that it's a sort of prayer, because there are things that um, a person communicates in her heart. You know? There are ways of communicating to God. And the cries speaks a lot. And the weeping and the raising of the voice, you call from deep within your soul. Now let's go on to the next. It says, God opens a mother's eyes and God guides our children. I say this because imagine when she was crying, and she said that she don't want to see her son die. But God said to him that you rise up. You know, God inspired her. God gave her a new inspiration to rise up, a new strength. So if you are a mother and you are experiencing difficulties with your children, never ever give up for your children. Never ever give up. By crying and by deep calls, by weeping, God will hear you. God will understand. God will strengthen you. Imagine this, Hagar. And God opened her eyes. You know, in the opening of the eyes, it makes you realize, you know, God makes her realize and see the potential. So there, she saw a well of water, and water means as well knowledge, right? She went and filled the pot with water and gave the lad to drink. So God gives her the strength, opened her eyes to realize the potential of her child. So she have to be the guidance. She have to teach him. She have to let him drink the water. Let him understand the teaching. Let him understand the potential in him. This is the role of all mothers in the world. And I could say that I have learned some part of that from my mother. And I am so thankful for God for having those kind of strict upbringing from my mom. Because those are the things that have taught me of who I am today, in my strong character and in my very strong decision sometimes. Emotionally, I know that I'm a little bit hard in that part. But when it comes to the teachings, to the wisdom, I've got it. I've got it from my mother. So the role of the mother is to be opened by God, to realize the potential of your child, because God will guide your children. Your role as a mother is to guide your child, make him realize his potential. Let him drink your teaching. Let him know and understand the ways of God, the ways of a good lifestyle, the ways of a good upbringing. Let him know. Teach your child, teach your child how to behave in a community. How do you behave in front of other people? How should you become a responsible person? How to take responsibility and how to speak responsibly. How to care for other people, how to sympathize, how to empathize, and how to ask forgiveness whenever you feel wrong or whenever you've done wrong. And that you as a mother will teach your child to learn how to admit whenever you did something wrong to others, to make amends, you know, to make peace. Those fundamental learnings that a child should learn in their upbringing or while they are still young are very, very important as a mother to become a part of, because if we do our role and our purpose as a mother to our children, I know that God will bless and guide our children. You have no idea what they will become. You have no idea what kind of children you will raise up. So it's very, very important to raise a godly children. A children with a good moral, a children with a good sense, a children with a good emotional standard, and knows how to respect others. On the sixth reading, God is with us even to be peaceful towards our contenders or our challengers. God is with us. And I can share you about this thing in this chapter 21. Remember Abimelech and the Pikol. They are confirming to Abraham that God is with him in all that he do. So, if God is with you, other people will confirm that in your life. And it's not that you will need their confirmation or their approval, but they will just clearly see it. You don't need to tell them. You don't even need to say it. You don't even need to speak of it. But whenever people see the changes in your life, there is a confirmation from their mouth that God is with you, because they will see the changes in your life. They will see how you are as a person. They will see what are the things that they would like to have in you as a person, right? So it says here that Abimelech said to Abraham that he do not know about the well of water. They are having a conversation about the well of water, but still God is with them and made peace. You know, because Abimelech doesn't know about the well of the water that his servant had forcibly seized. You know, so now they made amends. They form a covenant that they will not that Abraham will not do harm, or his descendants will not do harm to Abimelech's nation. So in this case, if we have contenders or challengers, we have no idea if those under them are actually, we don't know if the head is our enemy, or if the under is our enemy. Sometimes there are leaders who are suffering from the wrongdoings of those who are under them. Sometimes the leaders actually don't know what's going on under them, and only by the time they know it, if they can make amend or if they can make peace, then you know that God will be with you both. God will teach you how to make peace. So we have to be careful as well about our mouth whenever we are speaking against other leaders. Sometimes there are crimes that happens under one's leadership, and we have no idea, we are not there. What happened? We have no eyes that witness what actually happened there. So we have to respect the leaders who will come forward and admit that they do not know, or who comes forward and admit the fault of those who are under them. Or if they have done something wrong themselves, they will admit it themselves. It's very important for us to be observant. Now let's go to the last reading. All troubles can be sorted out for good when done in peaceful manner. I say this in the last reading. If we have any contenders, if you continue to read this chapter, you can see that Abimelech and Abraham made peace, right? They made peace to each other, and they made peace in the sight of God. And the both of them offered unto God. So it means that even Abimelech understood that he had to make amends not just with Abraham but also with God. He understood that even though he is not a part of Abraham's nation or tribe, let's say, he still knows the power of making peace. He still knows the moral characters that he have to stand for, and they formed a covenant in Beersheba. And this is like a treaty, if you could say, there is a peaceful treaty between them. And if you have any enemies, or if you have any person around you that has been fighting with you for a long time, make amends with them. I think it's the high time for you to sort out your troubles and pray to God how to deal with these things. All right. So I just hope that you have learned something from this kind of teachings today. And I just hope that all is well with you. May we all enjoy this Rosh Hashana in sweet favor from the Lord, with abundance of growth and blessings from His hands. May He bless each and every one of us, and may He remember to save us from all the troubles of this world. And despite of the things happening in our surroundings, I just pray that God will lead us and guide us no matter what happens. So that's it. And I hope to see you again for the next week and next reading. I just hope that you all will have a good time. And have a great evening or day wherever you are. So God bless you and see you again.
Balot nila na walang kahapon, magkakatapon. Tila di na muling makakaahon, hanggang saan pa ba aabot? Sisikat din ang araw. Bukas ay magtatanggal.
Dumarating sa ating buhay ang hampas ng panahon. Paano haharapin ang binibigay na hamon? Hirap makatayo, nilulumpo ng bawat laban. Dulot nitong masakit, masakit sa kalooban. Kahirap maating, ngunit dapat tanggapin. Hanapin ang liwanag sa gitna ng dilim. Handa kong tumawid kahit makipat ang tulay. Dahil busilak na damdamin ang taglay ko at gabay.
Sisikat din ang araw. Bukas
loob ang tutumbas sa pagsubok. Kinayang harapin, dagok at suntok sa sulok. Pagsubok na dumarating, kayang lampasan. Matibay ang dibdib, puso at isipan. Ako'y Pinoy, pagiging matatag. Hindi magpapatinag Diyos ang aking kalasag.
kumapit sa langit, subukang manalangin. Ang lahat ay lilipas din, bagong umaga'y paparating. Sisikat din ang araw.
Sisikat din ang araw at sa mga pangarap ay hindi aayaw.
Bukas ay matatanggal.
Bagong bukas ay matatanaw, ang ating tagumpay sabay-sabay isigaw. Ang ating tagumpay sabay-sabay isigaw. Bagong bukas ay matatanaw, ang ating tagumpay sabay-sabay isigaw.
Naisip ko na yung mga bagay talaga na nakakalimutan ko na sabihin sa kanya. Kaya naisip ko gawin ko na to.
Alam ko na kung mapagmamaksan, wala mo.
Yeah. Hindi ako ang pinakamabait na tao na ginawa ng Diyos. Pero minsan naisip ko na yung mga bagay talaga na nakakalimutan ko na sabihin sa kanya. Kaya naisip ko gawin ko na to.
Alam ko na kung mapagmamasdan, malabo na maging huwaran o tipo ng tao na karapat-dapat na tularan. Matagal kitang hindi kinausap, bulag-bulagan, manit pipit-pingis sa bawat isang kasalanan. Araw-araw kong ginagawa ng di ko alintana, na habang sa iba ang turo ko laging maniwala sa pangarap. Ako mismo daan-daan na nawawalan, matibay sa tingin nila pero ako ay tao lang. Nalilito, nagtatanong, nagtataka kung bakit kahit tanim ko ay maganda, bumabalik kay pangit. Habang ako ay nag-aabot, sa amin ay nagkakait, pero kito ako lumalaban kahit pa masakit. Sabi nila inaangat mo ang binababa, pero bakit buhay pa rin kung sino ang masasama? Nauuna mga makalaga at mabubuti, ako ay gabayan mo sa mundo to bilang baluti. Dahil ikaw lamang na nakakaalam. Nang dapat na mapunan, kahit na merong pasan, hindi pa rin talalayuan. Boy, patnubayan, boy, patnubayan. Sa mga panahong di iniisip ang ginagawa, ang sarili lamang ang hangad na madakma, at ang pinakawala ng iba masasaklap sa lahat. Handa ko itapon ang kahit ano para sa hinahangad na kapangyarihan, impluwensya at katanyagan. Teknolohiya ang may dulot ng gantong kasakiman. Nakakabuti, oo, pero lulong na rin ang tao. Nilikha mo ang kaalaman